So in today's video, I wanted to talk about how this universe is actually a hologram. Not to say it isn't, real, but just how we interact with it. So in 1984, there was a physicist named Juan Malacena. He came up with what is known as ADS-CFT string theory, and this stands for anti-de Sitter space conformal field theory. The anti-de Sitter space just stands for the inside curves of a ball, because that's what our reality is projected upon, and the conformal field theory is just that no matter how small you zoom in or how broad you zoom out, the pattern of expression remains the same between how interactions work. Now, this came about as a way to answer the question, what happens when information or energy falls past the event horizon of a black hole, because it cannot be created or destroyed. That violates the laws of physics. Well, he came up with the idea that our reality is made up of overlapping 2D grids called branes with a scale invariant spatial axis that goes between all these grids, and that's what gives it a three-dimensional experience from the observer. And they being physicists, found that these grids are the start and end points of strings. These start and end points we view as particles in space, specifically protons and neutrons. And between these grids, the string length, depending on how short or long it is, represents the energy within that bond. And this is what keeps someone at a certain point along this scale invariant axis. So as you move up or down this scale invariant spatial axis, you are either fulfilling your full expression of self or not. This is how, like with the multiverse theory, there's a version of you that pursued that dream you wanted, or there's that version of you that stayed small to please other people. You were either you pursued to be an artist or open up your own business, or you worked a dead-end job and you were wondering why you're unfulfilled. And the physicists found that when you write the string length as a separate dimension, you get the quantum wave equation of a graviton. A graviton is the theorized particle responsible for gravity. Now, what this means is that gravitons don't actually exist. They're theorized, but that's it. We haven't found any proof. So this means that gravity, the warping of space-time, and by extension mass, because it's just another expression of energy, is a representation of your energetic embodiment, your self-actualization. And this is what creates a pull towards certain people or places, and depending on how you resonate with them. And the anti-de Sitter space, the inside curve, is it's your soul, because your soul isn't inside your body, it's outside. In Plato's allegory of the cave, he says that there is a light from a fire being cast on a wall where shadows are projected. These shadows are our everyday objects, while the real actual objects come from a higher reality. And these real objects are perfect because they're not subject to space or time. Now, the soul, think of it as like a magnifying lens. But rather than, just a single disc, it's a sphere. And when the light of divinity, of source, coalesces into a center point, that's you experiencing reality as it is. Your body acts as an anchor. And depending on the buoyancy of your soul, let's say, when you expire in this physical vessel, you're either going to go up or down, again, this is all relative, to a higher reality or a higher density or dimension. And this can either be a good, positive expression like heaven, or a lower one like hell. They also found, again, they being physicists, found that there are higher and lower dimensional objects, us being the lower ones, and they oscillate between solvable and insolvable states. So think of this as subconscious and conscious integration. When we are in a solvable state, we are integrating subconscious information into our conscious awareness, while higher dimensional consciousnesses, what we would normally refer to as deities in religion and myth, are not integrating. And then when they are, we aren't. So this is, it's like the breath of God. Just like how we breathe in and out, everything happens in waves and oscillations. I'm going to go into the physics of this later, so stay tuned for, I'm going to go into the physics of this later, so stay tuned for part 2, and I'll catch you there. Hey, just wanted to add a little addendum at the end. So the anti-curvature space, the anti-de Sitter space, is also a black hole. That's one thing you've probably heard about recently, is that our universe is theorized to live in a black hole. Well, yes, it does. We project our reality onto the two-dimensional surface of our soul, but it's also the edge of a higher dimensional black hole. So just like how information in our reality is preserved along the 2D event horizon, in this higher dimensional space, it is preserved along the 3-dimensional event horizon of that reality. And depending on the frequency of our soul, which is a higher dimensional coalition of consciousness and energy, we will ascend or descend, like I had mentioned before. And also this explains what Dr. Sheldrake's morphic field theory was. He had proposed that there were fields that affected all of reality and how things propagate and form, and that it was not affected or determined by time or space. And again, going back to Plato's theory of forms, the higher reality has the real objects that are not subject to time and space because they are moving through higher dimensional non-linear time. And Dr. Sheldrake observed that when a group of rats learned a skill, and then he noticed that another group of rats learned the same skill but at a faster rate, he had assumed that it was morphic fields, when it is actually a higher dimensional form of a rat. The perfect rat, again, is a higher dimensional construct that oscillates between solvable and insolvable states, just like us. So it integrates the information, and then the second group of rats, because all rats get their form from this higher reality rat, then from our perspective of linear time, has to play catch up to this higher reality version that has integrated the information. So I hope that this was, again, helpful, informative, enlightening. Leave a like or a comment, check out my channel. I've got some articles on Reality Sandwich. Name's Nicholas Thumb. Check them out. And I'll catch you in the next video.